It's Gaz, and welcome back to another Warframe video. So today we're covering my new Ivara loadout, containing a recently buffed, very strong gun. If you'd like to do billions of damage, this is probably the video for you. So yeah, we're going over this loadout, and also some level 10,000 footage in Void Cascade. We'll be one-shotting basically every Thrax we hit, and anything that we go for a headshot on will be massively dead. You did see a negative 2 billion at the beginning of the video, and yes, with this loadout today, you can expect, hundreds of millions, and also multiple billions at times too, if you actually have your galvanized stacks up. So let's get right into this loadout guide. Before we go into it, make sure to sub this channel. We do daily Warframe video uploads, build videos, news videos, strategy guides, all that kind of stuff in the right place for Warframe content. And yeah, we'll have the weekly reset tomorrow with the new season of 1999. So come on, stop by that live stream tomorrow as well. All right, so today's Ivara loadout is going to be using some of the new items. We got the primary acuity mod, we've got the new arcane crepuscular, and more. So as far as the idea of today's build, I want to make sure this is a well-rounded loadout. We want to have a single target weapon for killing a max level enemy in one hit. We want to have an AoE weapon for killing max level enemies in a big group in one throw or one attack, and also a weapon that can give us utility through the form of viral procs, corrosive procs, and more, which is usually going to be our secondary. The companion was voted on by chat. The companion is not useful here at all. It's like a Helminth charger with like no mods on it. So you could use Nadars or something else in the future, but let's just go ahead and show what we have here so you can get a billion damage on your Kuva Chakkhurr, okay? Now I did do a video on the Kuva Chakkhurr it's more like a month and a half ago, showing that I did change it from electric to magnetic, and that magnetic damage is actually quite beneficial for what we're doing today. So just showing how this works. Let's summon in some enemies here. Now keep in mind, I am using my less optimal build right now, because I actually would change the build from the video, even though it was doing a billion damage. So we're going to get our Meta Double Dash for some power strength. We're going to cast Nourish. Now we could use the Dash Wire. I'm not going to actually recommend you use the Dash Wire all the time, because it's not necessary. But this Dash Wire can actually give you increased crit damage you get the augment for it. So if we do that, we want to go invisible as well. And now, when we go for headshots, we do big damage. We can do even bigger damage. We get galvanized stacks. Maybe get some procs on them. As you can see, 1.6 billion with hardly any effort. So we get some more galvanized stacks. Negative 2 billion. The negative 2 billions are quite easy on this gun if you know what you're doing. So yeah, let's get right into how you can do this and get some big damage on Steel Path. So like lots of negative 2 billion. If you like negative 2 billion red crits, this is a pretty good loadout for you, okay? So starting off with what we got. Oh yeah, by the way, my AoE weapon too can take care of these guys relatively well. That was really slow, but once we get some stacks in here, you can blow them up really easily too. So yeah, our weapons are going to be, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, single target right here, utility right here, and AoE right here. Okay, so we're going to go over all the stuff we use and the companion that was not actually used, but he's got a party hat. Starting with Ivara, so to get a bunch of extra primary damage for our Kuva Chakkhurr, which we don't really need because it does so much damage, I've got my normal Ivara shards on here. I've got 4 purple Archon Shards, which give primary electric damage, but increase it per purple shard on there. So the more purple shards I have, the more electric damage I get. As you see on my Kuva Chakkhurr, I've got 1,700 electric damage. Those come from my shards too. So if you don't have that, it's not going to give as big of a damage buff, but don't worry, it can still kill everything in one hit anyway. But if you want to get what I'm using, you could use that too. Additionally, we've got 1 green emerald Tau shard for 13 corrosive procs. This removes almost all of the enemy's armor, and since enemy's armor is so nerfed in Warframe 2025, you don't even need to have full armor strip. So 1 will do for still negative damage cap. So don't let people tell you need full armor strip anymore, because you don't. As far as the build on Ivara, it is slightly different. Now, we did have 2 Worthy Camaraderies in our squad, but Worthy Camaraderie on headshot increased weak point crit chance. Great on the Kuva Chakkhurr. We're also using primary acuity on the Chakkhurr for even more damage. But yeah, this is pretty good. This is definitely better than corrosive projection. So I've got this on here, and it works for my whole team too. So they're using headshot weapons, they get more headshot damage, or more headshot crit chance. Prime Surefoot, if you got it, you should use it because you don't want to get knocked over and die, because that is not fun. Prime Continuity to make these abilities last longer. My build is basically just strength and duration. Everything else doesn't matter here. But yeah, it makes Nourish last longer. Makes the equation of energy drain for your 3 not as bad. And it also makes, it isn't really used for this, but it technically will make your bubbles last longer too if you're clicking bubble. Next mod, Transient Fortitude. We need as much power as possible for that Nourish buff and headshot multiplier by Ivara's 3. So Transient Fortitude, Blind Rage, and Precision Intensify all buff our abilities. and they buff Nourish a lot. So we've got like 154% increased Nourish viral damage and also energy multiplier to boot. So very nice stuff there. Now, this is not needed. You don't need this. This gives increased critical damage, though, if you're on your dash wire. It's called Empowered Quiver, and it goes with strength, too. So for this build, 254% increased crit damage. You don't need this. I would actually recommend that you run Infiltrate instead, which also scales with power strength to make you move faster in these missions. But yeah, I want to show what I had equipped in the video, so that's what I had equipped in the video. Vigorous Swap. Once you proc enemies up with your Kompressa, you swap to your Kuva Chakkhurr and one-shot them really, really hard. This gives you a big damage increase if you swap weapons. Narrow-minded, we don't need range, we just want duration, so this is exactly what we want. Prime Flow for a big energy pool, and as I said, Persistence Divide for more power strength. We've got Arcane Crepuscular, Wall Invisible, get increased ability strength and crit damage. Now, this applies per crit tier. So when you're at red crits, it's applying 3 times. So very, very strong. Oh, it's applying the crit damage 3 times. It's not applying the strength 3 times. You get the strength once, but very nice, and I've actually replaced Multi-Augmented with this on my build. An Arcane Rage, giving increased on headshot increased damage for primary weapons. Not needed, because we've got Spectral Serration, but I just ran it. And you could probably just run Multi-Augmented here instead, and probably better. Moving on to the weapon. So as I mentioned, it's a Kuva Chakkhurr from the Kuva Lich, and we've got a Magnetic 60 roll here. Why is it Magnetic 60? Well, Magnetic has been buffed in Warframe, where it now does a bunch of other stuff. It's got increased damage to overguard, and that's pretty good. It also makes overguard explode on break, which will do a percent health or percent electric proc in an area. Since we've got electric shards from Ivara, we have built-in electric damage too. So it's like an electric magnetic Kuva Chakkhurr at this point. Now, I didn't have this arcane equipped. I had primary. I had Fractalized Reset equipped for increased reload speed. I'll tell you why I don't recommend that here in a second, but yeah, here's the build. Now, if you're playing Ivara, remember, if you don't have a silencer in your gun, you lose your invisibility. So big, important fact right there. But another thing here is that we're using the new primary acuity mods. You might notice there's no multi-shot mods on this build, even not a multi-shot Riven. I used to have a multi-shot Riven. I got a new Riven for acuity. But basically the way acuity is worded, increased weak point damage and weak point crit chance. But multi-shot cannot be modified. So if you have a multi-shot Riven, it is doing nothing with this mod equipped. And for that matter, a minus multi-shot Riven is actually fine if you have this mod equipped. So if I had minus multi-shot in here, it would be totally okay with this build. That being said, what do we have on here that's new? We've got the new Spectral Serration mod, 330% increased damage while invisible. That's a big chunk of damage, and that's going to be partially how you get those big one-shots. Now, I had Fractalized Reset in the video. As you see right here, 3.3 second reload, which is really, really slow. So with Fractalized Reset, you can make it reload a lot faster, but here's the thing. So here's the reload. You can reload really fast with Fractalized Reset, but here's the thing. If you have the auto-reload mods on your pistol and companion, you will reload while holstered. So I fire off this gun. It's got like 1 bullet or whatever. I holster it. It's getting reloaded while I am doing this. So I turn back, it's got half the magazine reloaded. I think that's fine enough to not have to run Fractalized Reset. So in the next run I use this, I will use Deadhead instead for even more headshot damage and just damage overall. Also recoil reduction too. Not too shabby. So now what we do, we just fire our bullets. Now also, well, I'll show the companion build, but yeah, we fire our bullets. Now we just don't have to ever reload. It will auto reload on its own when we're holstered. So very good stuff there. And also like basically no recoil either. So very good stuff for big damage and easy recoil control. So yeah, I ran a different arcane in the footage, but I'd recommend this one instead. We've also got Galvanized Scope, Aptitude, and no multi-shot obviously. So Galvanized Scope, increased crit chance while aiming. Helps a lot with our primary acuity, giving us more crit tiers. Vital Sense for crit damage. Now, this mod's also not needed. If you get a headshot in these enemies, they're dead. There's no slash proc needed. So this mod's basically when you don't get a headshot, it will give you a slash proc to hopefully clip a kill. So, in the future, I would take this off for like Bane of the Grenier or something. But I did use this in the footage, and it is a almost guaranteed slash proc with the Kuva Chakkhurr's forced impact procs. But yeah, next time, wouldn't run it. I'd run like this, or Bane of the Orkin or something. I would not run Internal Bleeding because it's not necessary on how hard we're hitting here. And everything else is just a crit mod, basically. Spectral Serration for the big damage, primary acuity because it's new. These two new mods are very good together. And for the Riven, double crit minus magazine. Again, if we had minus multi-shot, I'd be okay with that, but I'm also totally fine with what we have right now. So yeah, very good build right there. Now for the Kompressa, it's the signature gun of Yoreli. Kompressa Prime should be later this year, but for right now, we've got a corrosive viral build. Now, I do have Nourish on my Ivara to get viral, but this is still totally fine. So, in the footage, I had secondary Encumber on for more procs, but as you just saw, you don't really need secondary Encumber to get all the negative 2 billion damage. So I'd go for Fortifier next time, which will debuff Overguard and steal Overguard for yourself, so you won't die as much. Because you have I noticed this last night. If you have a Nyx on your team and you're playing Ivara, the Nyx is going to have rad proc, the Nyx is going to have rad procs everywhere, and it's not a very good situation for the Ivara player because there's just enemies shooting at each other all over the place. It's just not really good. It's a little bit on the dangerous side. So yeah, you can do your 2 billion damage, but we're not buying for shield gate or anything like that. So be careful of where you're standing. But yeah, that being said, let's move on to the last couple of items here for this big damage setup. But yeah, this right here, we've got the status chance. Oh, no, here's a big thing too, Synth Mod. Synth Mod will auto-reload your Kuva Chakkhurr. Have this on your pistol if you can to auto-reload as much as possible. Prime Fortnotion for more bubble range, and Kompressa multi-shot status chance rivet. And also, don't forget that silencer. So the way this works, we can get a lot of good procs on them. Actually, not a lot. With this new build, we only get 2 procs on them, but it's still enough to do negative 2 billion, so who actually cares? So you summon them in, and then look at how good the Kompressa is. So 1 bubble, max viral, max corrosive from 1 bullet. So you can get really, really easy one-shots after that. If you did use Encumber, it would be more procs and more damage technically, but also it would be a little bit more dangerous as you would not have any overguard in a longer run. So yeah, just showing the difference between Encumber and Fortifier here. Fortifier will only be viral and corrosive. Encumber will be a ton of stuff, but careful because it can cause rad procs, which would make the enemy shoot at that enemy and potentially hit you in the crossfire. So be careful about that. So now 1 bubble with this. So as you see, you get like 3 extra procs just with like a little bit of bad RNG. If we keep firing, it's going to be like every proc in the game basically from Encumber. So up to you which one you want to run. I did run Encumber in the footage, but I think Fortifier would have been probably my second choice going in there. So yeah, the entire idea of the build is just to make sure you have procs enemies really easily and have good coverage with the Fulmination mod. This is available from Borrow until tomorrow morning. Alright, and for the last stuff here, we got the Falcor. This is our AoE weapon of choice. It is the normal Falcor because no Tenant Falcor exists yet, unfortunately. And as far as the build, it's a Blast Electric build. I could have put on Smite the Grenier, so Smite the Orchid, but it's really a toss-up between which one you think are fighting more. You usually are fighting more Grenier here, but they get corrupted quite often too, so it's really up to you. But as far as the build, Blast Electric. Blast procs make enemies explode, and have a small DOT tied to them. Electric procs make enemies get shocked and take damage over time, but will also proc melee influence, which gives you an increased 20-meter radius of your status procs, which is pretty good for our AoE weapon. Now, as far as the specific mods on here, you might notice I have Normal Elementalist instead of Galvanized Elementalist, and Sacrificial Steel instead of Galvanized Steel. The thing about the Falcor is that it has really, really bad base crit. It's got 12% base crit. So if we put Galvanized Steel on here, it would be at 25% crit. Double applied to heavy attacks, technically. That is just really, really low to me. I would rather have 38% crit chance on Sacrificial Steel versus Galvanized Steel's 25, because there's times you just don't even get a crit with Galvanized Steel. And I at least usually get a yellow crit with Sacrificial Steel. That's how I look at it. Additionally, for the Elementalist mods, this one's definitely a lot more noticeable to me. Galvanized Elementalist gives increased status chance, but we have Force Electric procs. Normal Elementalist gives wind-up speed and makes you throw the glaive faster. So I'd recommend this over this on the Falcor, personally. And this can kill level 10,000s in one throw. And we are also using Nourish, too, so it's got Viral on it, too. So pretty decent stuff. The Rivet is Blast and melee damage, so it's pretty hard to fit on a Blast Electric Build without this, but good luck. And then as far as the last 2 things, we got Matterai, because we're playing Void Cascade, so you have to have Matterai, or you're getting not invited again, basically. And for the Bow of Ivara, it was not fired once, because it's Helminth off. Let's see what I got right now. I wonder if I bet Acuity would be pretty good on this. So I'll have to try that out at some point. But yeah, I did not use the Bow of Ivara here. And for our Helminth Charger, which chat voted on, I didn't even use that much. It's got this stuff that doesn't actually matter. It's the Helminth Charger. But yeah, I want to use the Helminth Charger after chat voted on it. And I didn't have any mods on it, so I was trying to decide which ability to use. And in the end, we just decided to put on like every synth mod and useful bond mod. So we got Momentous Bond to come back to the dead faster. Calculated redirection to get us almost to the 1200 shields. Now, here's a little trick with Reinforced Bond. You need 1200 shields in your companion. Every time you reload, your companion gets 150 overshields. Now, here's the fun thing. If you have the synth mods to auto-reload, here's what you do. So, you see my pet has 1100 shields right now. I fire my gun, and I swap. Since we have those auto-reload mods, watch what happens to my companion's shield bar. It will proc from the auto-reload. So, I have the Reinforced Bond now active just from having the dog just standing there. So So really good stuff. And a reminder too, while you're invisible, your dog goes invisible too. So it's pretty survivable, even with a a frame like Ivara that has like no HP or armor basically. So yeah, he's used for the synth mod set. In the future, I'd probably go with the Darza instead for even more crits. But yeah, he does a pretty good job for what he's here for. Yeah, synth mods auto reload really fast. Reinforced bond for fire rate for frame, and then crit damage for our frame with tenacious bond. Fetch, pick up the loot. And as far as the dog claws, they weren't used at all, but that's what I had on here. Look at this little weird picture of Bite up here. I thought that was kind of interesting. Toxic injection, unique element thing. And yeah, guys, that's basically it for the build video. Really fun stuff, really hard-hitting stuff, and not that much setup, honestly. If you do want to get a couple procs on them and just shoot them, they're going to die really, really hard. If you don't want to go through all those hoops, just shoot them normally. You're going to be doing like 200 million damage anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. So here, I'll show you with no dash wire here, but yeah. Guys, as far as the Acuity mod being intended or bugged or whatever, I think that it is intended, but I think that there might be some of it doesn't work the way it's supposed to. And I think that you should change that to make it where every weapon that is not really strong on should be really strong. Like, for example, the Baza Prime, right? The Baza Prime is not very popular, it's not very OP, it's not very meta. If the Baza Prime was able to do stuff like this, maybe people would actually use the Baza Prime a little bit more often. Oh, one more thing too. When you're trying to get headshots with the Kuva Chakkhurr, reminder that it actually is not hit scan, okay? This is a projectile weapon, as you use Ivara's too. There is an arrow that flies around, you have to hit the headshot with that arrow, okay? It's not like a guaranteed hit scan hit. So, yeah, if you don't like aiming, this might not be the loadout for you. I do have an AoE gun for you on here, the AoE weapon on here, the Falcor, but yeah, if you like to aim, if you don't like to aim, maybe look elsewhere, maybe try the Torrent or something instead. You'll be doing less damage per bullet on the Torrent, but you'll be doing, a lot less aiming, so. Let me know how you guys feel about this build video down in this comments below. I think it was pretty fun. As far as some changes to the build, I already told you what I'd change. I would take off some of the arcades I had from the video. I would even maybe change the Kompressa to the Epitaph. I at first had the Epitaph equipped, but the Epitaph versus the Kompressa, I decided the Kompressa would be better for viral and corrosive, as I don't have any. Well, I technically do have Nourish, so I don't know. I'm trying to decide if I should change anything here. But yeah, no rad procs at all. Playing as Ivara next to a Nyx in Void Cascade was very scary because there was just so many rad proc enemies shooting each other. So, either way, I'll see you in the next video. I'll see you on stream tonight, and I'll see you with the weekly reset tomorrow, guys. Oh yeah, it can one-shot Acolytes pretty well, too, if you get the headshot. So, yeah, take it easy. Peace.